Speech off.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So, it's been a little while since I last posted. I'll get into that in another video. But, I wanted to post before this month was over. I know it's already been a week, but October is Blindness Awareness Month. And, I know you guys all have your TBRs kind of full, probably. But I thought that if you guys wanted to read a book about, blind people or has blind characters, I would give you some ideas. First of all, I want to say that there are not that many, and there are not that many good ones. So if you guys just want to read a book about Helen Keller, or Stevie Wonder, or Ray Charles, which are the classic, like, blind, famous people, go for it. I wouldn't blame you one bit. But yeah, I do have some other ideas. Like I said, they're not the greatest. And if you guys have any ideas about good books, let me know because I could use them. Honestly, the only ones I see are like, I would love a book where it's just a blind character who is just your typical person who is kind of just living their lives, I guess. Where the center isn't necessarily that they're blind or that they're going blind. And it's like this huge tragedy. I guess I just can't relate to it because I was born that way. So it's just not that depressing to me. So it's kind of depressing to read about somebody going blind and being depressed about it. And don't get me wrong, I know there are lots of people who relate to it. I just don't. So, you know, it's just, I don't know. I also see a lot of blind characters in fantasy books where they have other superpowers, and yeah, that's great too, but can we just have, I don't know, a blind person in high school who's just having boyfriend issues or something? Normal? You know, and how they navigate that? I don't know. Just something, you know what I'm trying to say? Also something modern, preferably. Because almost all of these books have technology that have us using technology from the Dark Ages, okay? We use Braille note takers to write now. We have used computers. So, how about representing that a little more? Thanks. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about some of these books, and yeah, you guys can pick from these or find your own. So the first one we have is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I mean, you guys know all about this, I'm sure. Hazel Grace and Augustus Waters, their tragic love story. But there is a very funny kid who goes blind because of eye cancer. He's a side character. But honestly, I think that's what makes it even better, that he's a side character, because he's not like the main focus. And that makes him more of a person rather than a tragic figure. I mean, don't get me wrong, we see him destroying things in a blind rage, pun intended, because he is raging at his condition. Honestly, I find that kind of refreshing. He's just smashing things. But yeah, there's that one. Let's see. What else do we have? I'm skipping some just because. Okay, here's one. The Distance Between Me and the Cherry Tree by, ooh, this author has my name, by Paola Peretti. I actually heard about this one from, what's her name? Amanda from On the Middle Shelf. She talked about this one, and I never found it on audio, but I found it in Braille, so I read it. Mafalda is a 9-year-old girl who knows one thing. Sometime in the next 6 months, her sight will fail completely. Can Mafalda find a way through a seemingly dark future and still go to school, play soccer, and look after her beloved cat? With the help of her family and her friends, Mafalda needs to discover the things that will be important to her when her sight has failed. Again, this one is essentially, you know, about someone losing their sight, but I don't know. This one felt more childlike, I guess, so it was kind of okay. It was one of the more recent ones I read. And then we have Gentle's Holler by Carrie Madden, I think was her last name. I forgot to write it down. This one, honestly, it's about a toddler who goes blind, but it's not really necessarily about her. It's about, Livy 2 is, our main character. 12-year-old girl in a huge family. I think there's, like, one kid above her and, like, 7 or 8 below her, and her mom is pregnant again. And by the way, her name is Livy too, because the first Livy died at birth, and I guess they didn't feel bothered to name their first daughter, so she's Livy too, which honestly is kind of disturbing in itself, but all right. Anyway, they find out that Gentle, one of their youngest kids, is blind, but it's not all about that either. But Livy does learn Braille and stuff like that, so that's kind of nice. So there's a little representation there. I enjoyed this series. There's 3 of them, I think. I actually wrote to the author when I read the book first. I wanted, to read the next one when it wasn't available in Braille, and she actually sent me a copy of it electronically. We're talking, like, early 2000s. It was so nice. Anyway. Faye Far Away. So this is another one where the main character is not the blind character, but he's a funny side character. It's called Faye Far Away. What is the author's name? I already forgot because it's on audio. I don't know why I didn't write this down. This is a list I made last year, and I'm just kind of going off it and picking and choosing books. But, okay. Faye is a 37-year-old, happily married mother of 2 young daughters. Every night before she puts them to bed, she whispers to them, "You are good, you are kind, you are clever, you are funny." She's determined that they never doubt for a minute that their mother loves them unconditionally. After all, her own mother, Jeannie, had died when she was only 7 years old. And Faye has never forgotten over that intense pain of losing her. But one day, her life is turned upside down when she finds herself in 1977, the year before her mother died. Suddenly, she has a chance to reconnect with her long-lost mother and even meets her younger self, a little girl she can barely remember. Jeannie doesn't recognize Faye as her daughter, of course, even though there is something eerily familiar about her. As the 2 women become close friends, they share many secrets, but Faye is terrified of revealing the truth about her identity. Will it prevent her from returning to her own time and her beloved husband and daughters? What if she's doomed to remain in the past forever? Faye knows that eventually she will have to choose between those she loves in the past and those she loves in the here and now. And that knowledge presents her with an impossible choice. So this doesn't sound like, a book about a blind character, but her friend, Faye's friend, is like the best sidekick, and he's blind, and she works with blind people. So, like, this is probably one of my favorite time travels, and I wasn't even expecting there to be a blind character in this book. I just got it because it's time travel, and it was amazing. Okay, the author is Helen Fisher. I just looked it up on Amazon. But yeah, this book, I loved it so much. I'm pretty sure there's no swearing, but Jeannie was kind of a woman of the 70s, so there is some pot smoking if that offends you. But yeah, there is no, like, unclean scenes or anything like that. No sex scenes, nothing like that. So yeah. Then we have All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. You guys probably already know about this one. I didn't love it, really. It was too wordy for me. It was more like historical literary fiction. I don't know. It sounds crazy, but as a blind person, who has never seen things like colors and stuff, too much description just bores me. So, like, there was just so much meandering description in this book that I got bored. But this is a very popular title, and there's a blind character in it who's the hero. So, if you're interested, go for that one. It's long. World War II historical fiction. Yeah. Then, okay. Here's one. I think this is my last Yes. This is one I read 2 years ago, almost. And I have mixed feelings on it. But I think all of you Christian fiction fans might enjoy it. Even if it's not my cup of tea. So it's called Haven by Sherry Gomes. Sherry Gomes, or is it Gomez? I'm not sure because it's Gomes, not Z. Anyway, she's blind also. She wrote this book. And I'll read the description first, and then I'll kind of give you my thoughts. There was one thing she knew. This would not be the end. She would not give up. Not ever. Nico might have the victory now, but she would find a way to turn the tables on him. Holding her head high, she vowed that somehow, someday, Rosie would be with her again. Elizabeth Bennet arrives in Haven Valley seeking healing after her emotionally abusive, unscrupulous ex-husband uses his family's political influence to gain sole custody of their daughter, solely on the basis that Elizabeth is blind. At Haven Valley Church, Michael Kelly's grief for his wife is fresh, as when he lost her 3 years ago, but he focuses on his love for the son he is now raising alone. A good man, a good father, and a good pastor to the community, he deeply longs for companionship and love. These two people, nearly broken by disaster, meet on a snowy night that will change their lives. Through this town, its people, and two very special children, Michael and Elizabeth begin to create their safe haven, though the past relentlessly places stumbling blocks in their path. Can they keep the love and healing they've found? So, I was fascinated by this book because I love a good custody battle. And I was like, okay, this is going to be really good because this is like a custody battle based on like her blindness and like this whole discrimination suit. And I was like all in for a fight. And what I got instead was a romance. A romance. And the custody battle was like, what? The last 20% of the book? Where she ultimately wins because, I mean, happily ever after, right? But, okay, I'm just going to keep going with my criticisms and then I'll get to the good stuff. And the second thing was that, I mean, we barely saw her kid. She has one meeting with Rosie and all of a sudden Rosie's calling this guy Papa. And they're like, insta-family. That was annoying. Really annoying. Sorry, Sherry Gomes. Like, I was turned off by that. But if you're into this book because of the romance and because you want this happily ever after to happen, that part did deliver. Like, it was a good read for that reason. It's just that wasn't what I was personally looking for in this book. But it definitely did deliver, and it is a clean romance, and I consider it pretty Christian fiction. So I think that a lot of you Christian fiction romance lovers would appreciate it, as long as you're not expecting this exciting custody battle, which you do get a little bit, but like, again, you barely see the kid. She moves away from the kid, which is also another thing I kind of falter for. Like, she's moving away to get herself together, but it's like, okay, if you cared about your kid so much, you would, like, be living within 5 miles of this kid so you could at least see her at parent conferences. Show up, even though you're not allowed to have her for the weekend. You don't move, what, like, I don't know how many miles away from this kid, a plane ride away, and try to convince me you care. I mean, she does care. I'm just saying, like, I just question her parenting decisions, I guess. And then the last thing that bugs me is that we never really see her alone with children. So, like, if you want to convince me, if I'm a sighted person, you're not going to convince me that she deserves custody of this kid, that she can take care of this kid, when you never really see her alone with his kid. If she's alone with his kid, she's with her sister, too. So it's like, you're not really parenting by yourself. So the only reason that she won, in my opinion, is because her ex-husband was a monster. Like, I almost didn't want him to be a monster. I almost wanted him to be kind of a gray character who was kind of like, doubtful of her parenting abilities, but was proven wrong in some ways. But she never really had to prove anyone wrong. He just was a terrible person who accused her of stuff, and bad guys always lose. That being said, all of that aside, Sherry really did portray Elizabeth, because she's a blind woman herself, as a very independent blind woman in her own right. Like, she had a job, she used a computer, she had a guide dog. Like, I had no doubt that she could live independently on her own. So if you want to see a portrayal of an independent blind woman, and you can forget that she's a mother, okay. And, you like the whole happily ever after aspect of it, you can suspend your disbelief a lot. I'd say read this book. I even think you should read this book because it really does portray a blind woman well. I just didn't like the custody battle. It was so overshadowed by the romance. I wanted more custody battle, less romance. Because that's like the whole premise of this book. This custody battle. But you see her kid for 5 seconds and she's already calling this guy Papa. So, yeah. It's such a weird review. I'm telling you to read this book because I think you'll learn a lot from it. But I also want to kind of warn you what you're going to get. Sort of at the same time. But yeah, I do think you romance fans would like it. And I do still recommend that sighted people should read it because they'll learn a lot. So, what am I going to read for this year's Blindness Awareness Month? I'm going to read the Guiding Emily series. I cannot remember who I heard this from. Who talked about them. They are by Barbara Hinsky, I think is the last name. I think the 4th one, Down the Aisle, just came out on audio. So we'll see how many I get through. I was saving them up to read during October because, again, it's hard to find stuff. And I think there's a Hallmark movie for Guiding Emily, so I want to watch that too. I didn't realize it was a book series, but I guess it's about a woman who goes blind. And I guess she has a romance at some point. I don't know. But, hey, I'll take it. It's not a bad deal, I guess. I can't really find anything else to read, but yeah. That's all I have for this video. If you guys can come up with anything else for this, yeah, I'll tag some people who might like romance to read that other book. So yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. And if you have any questions about being blind, maybe you can post them in this video and I'll do a separate Q&A or something for Blindness Awareness Month. Just about blindness in general. Just, again, like I said in my previous Q&A, when I did my 100 subscriber Q&A, don't ask me how I use the toilet or anything weird, okay? People ask, so I have to say it every time. But, ask me about colors or, I don't know, whatever else you want to ask me. Anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!
Speech up. Stop recording.